The first thing Captain Alara Vance noticed was the silence. Not the ordinary kind that lived in the command wing after midnight briefings, but a heavier, deliberate quiet, the kind that pressed against the ears. Screens glowed with frozen data. Officers stared at their tablets without scrolling, and when she stepped into the room, conversations ended mid-breath. She had led missions in vacuum and fire, but nothing prepared her for the way a room full of people could suddenly pretend she wasn't there. The report was already waiting when command summoned her. A failed operation on the border colony of Hestia, civilian losses, the communications blackout that no one could fully explain. Alara had been the tactical lead, which meant her name sat neatly at the top of the page, bold and unforgiving. She read it once, then again, feeling the story harden into something unrecognizable. Decisions she hadn't made were attributed to her. Orders she had explicitly challenged were rewritten as her own. When she opened her mouth to correct it, the Admiral didn't look up. Command blamed her first because it was easy. She was competent but not political, respected but not protected. The system preferred clean lines and single points of failure, and Alara fit perfectly into the shape they needed. The board concluded swiftly, efficiently, with words like oversight and judgment lapse delivered in calm, reasonable tones. No one raised their voice, no one defended her. When it ended, she was dismissed with a nod, as if she were just another file being archived. After that, everyone stopped talking. Her second-in-command, who had once argued tactics with her over burnt coffee, now replied to messages with clipped, formal acknowledgments. Friends who used to save her a seat in the mess hall suddenly found reasons to sit elsewhere. Even the corridors seemed to conspire against her, doors closing a second too early, footsteps fading whenever she approached. It wasn't hostility exactly, it was avoidance, a collective agreement that she was a risk best not acknowledged. Alara tried to fight it the proper way. She filed appeals, submitted logs, highlighted discrepancies in the data trail. The responses came back polite and hollow, full of phrases like under review and procedural limitations. Her evidence vanished into the same silence that followed her everywhere now. What unsettled her most was not the blame itself, but the speed with which the truth became inconvenient. Facts hadn't changed, only their usefulness had. Late one night, alone in her quarters, she replayed the mission logs again. She noticed something she had missed before. A brief manual override embedded deep in the system, authorized at a level above her clearance. It lasted less than 30 seconds, just long enough to redirect a signal and fracture the chain of command. It was subtle, almost elegant, and it explained everything. The failure, the blackout, the civilian casualties, the blame had been decided long before the mission ended. She brought the discovery to command. This time, the silence was different. The Admiral finally looked at her, really looked, and for a moment she thought she saw something like regret. Then the expression closed, shutters drawn. The room seemed to shrink, the walls listening. She was told the data was classified beyond her scope, that pursuing it further would be unwise. No one explicitly threatened her. They didn't have to. That was when Alara understood the real accusation wasn't incompetence, but disobedience. The system could survive failure. It couldn't tolerate someone pointing at the machinery and naming the broken parts. By blaming her first, command had sent a message. By falling silent, everyone else had agreed to it. Survival, after all, often sounds like quiet compliance. They reassigned her soon after, a posting so distant it might as well have been exile. On her last day, she walked through the command wing one final time. No one stopped her. No one wished her luck. Yet as she passed a junior analyst by the comm station, their eyes met, just briefly. The analyst's hand trembled, then slipped a small data chip on the console where Alara could see it. Nothing was said. Nothing needed to be. Years later, when the truth finally surfaced, it didn't arrive with fanfare. There were no apologies broadcast, no names restored with ceremony, just a quiet revision in the archives, a footnote correcting an earlier conclusion.
By then, Ilara was far from command space, leading a life built on hard-earned honesty and fewer illusions. She read the update once and smiled, not because it vindicated her, but because it confirmed what she knew all along. Command blamed her first, and then everyone stopped talking. But silence, she had learned, was never empty. It was full of fear, of choices made and unmade, of truths waiting patiently for someone brave enough to listen.